Hello, it's Sandy Star with Sandy Star Wellness. Listen, I just wanted to do a little presentation for you today, really maintaining a healthy life balance. I feel it's really important right now and heavy on my heart just to bring simplicity to things, right? So we're going to go ahead and share some slides here. So I want to start with some statistics. I always like to do that because I don't think people realize how much or how unhealthy our country is and our world is becoming just because of a lot of the underlying triggers and environmental things that are going on and have been for years. So we're looking at, I'm bringing children in too, by the way, because I really feel that they're experiencing adult diseases more now than ever. So it's really important to have that foundation for them too and for the whole family. So look at 27% of children suffer from chronic health conditions. I've seen 8-year-olds with cholesterol issues. And of course, we know 1 in 3 children are overweight. So it is an epidemic that we need to really pay attention and start putting some energy into addressing. Adults, 60% have at least one, and 42% have multiple conditions. And these are like autoimmune, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, hypertension, high blood pressure. I mean, there's a huge list. Under autoimmune, there's several things, right? GI disorders, Crohn's is one. We also look at Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid autoimmune, which I've seen a lot more of these days. Stress and anxiety is huge, and that can really cause a lot of chronic conditions, and it is in itself a chronic condition. And so we really want to look at addressing those and how can we actually get balance and either avoid them or bring them or get rid of them and get your body back to balance. Some of the underlying causes, I would say mostly, is lifestyle and food choices. So when we look at type 2 diabetes, that is absolutely lifestyle and food choice. Absolutely. And it's absolutely reversible because when you change your lifestyle, you start exercising, you start getting a better diet in your system, better whole food, things like that. You'd be surprised how things balance. And so really looking at things like this that we can control, we can really take the reins and really do something about it. So some of the other underlining causes, we look at food intolerance. These are the triggers, sensitivities, and even allergies. We look at hormone imbalance. That can play a lot in your system. GI distress, again, I talked about some of that, but leaky gut's a huge problem that systemically really causes some chronic inflammation, which is the cause of 80% of disease, right? And we know 3/4 of your immune system is in your GI tract. And so when you really focus on getting that balance, you'd be amazed systemically how things can heal. Medications, that's a whole nother topic, but I would say that a lot of people are on medications. There are 3,200 prescriptions written every month in every pharmacy across our country. So we know that there's a lot of people on medications and there's always side effects to them. And then you get deficiencies with nutrients as well. So again, that's a whole nother topic. And I do work with people on that to get balance when they're on medication. So we want to look at a balanced life. What does that look like? So here's some tips to build a healthy foundation. So we want to, again, really address those root cause, remove the triggers, address the traumas. For example, people that are obese, a lot of times there's a trauma attached to that. And we know that we have to address those traumas and the mindset and all of that before we really have full control and can move on from that. What we don't want to do is jump from one thing to another. So know your numbers. You definitely want to know your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, which is your A1C, your D3 levels, which is critical for your immune system. D3 also, calcium needs D3 to get to calcium into your bones. So that's a critical thing. D3 does a lot of things, and it's really important to have balance in that. especially nowadays with COVID and all of that, or just any kind of flu. You want to have your immune system strong. D3 is part of that. Again, your ideal weight, eating a whole food diet, like real food, right? Preferably organic. That makes a huge difference. Avoiding sugar. Sugar is very toxic. I got a slide coming up on that. It's unbelievable what it can do to your system. Processed food, not so good, right? That's really processed. So it's not giving you nutrients. It's like empty calories, if you can think of it that way. So you want whole foods, you want to avoid sugar, processed foods. You want to stay active, whatever that looks like for you. For me, I like to walk outside for about 50 minutes and I do hills. I just absolutely love it. I also do some weights, but I don't do the same thing I did in my 20s. Being in my 50s, it's a different thing, but it's still being active. Bike rides, just, things like that. It's just staying active. And you want to have movement activity every day. Working out is a little different if you're going to be intense about it. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject too, but you definitely want to stay active. Drinking water is critical. It's amazing what water can do, and we cannot survive without it. We can survive without food for a while. We cannot survive without water, but you want to have good, clean water. You want to stay hydrated. Really important, drink half your body weight in ounces a day, your ideal body weight if you're obese. Manage stress is critical right now. Of course, it's always been critical, and stress it can do a lot to your body if it's chronic. Cortisol is one thing, adrenal fatigue. Those are things that happen with chronic stress. Mindset. We really are who we say we are, right? It's so important to not do the negative self-talk. I think that's so critical. And it is a process, and I definitely work with you on that. I think it's really important to know your value, the way God created you to be. Surround yourself with supportive, loving people and living in purpose, like really have a purpose. And you do have a purpose. All of us have an individual purpose, and it's really important to have that. That makes a huge difference also for motivation. So water, yeah, stay hydrated. And there's lots of reasons why, right? It helps flush toxins. It lubricates your GI tract, which is really critical that you don't have constipation. It's really important on the GI. It delivers oxygen. It helps your metabolism. It decreases cravings. So you want to be drinking your water in between meals, not necessarily with a meal, because you don't want to dilute the stomach acid. You need that to break those proteins down. So water is really important. Sugar, I mentioned it before. One thing even to remember is it can drop your immune system, those white blood cells that kill the bacteria, which is your first line of defense, by 40 to 50% if you have too much sugar. Sugar also is obviously going to cause some diabetes, even sensitivity to glucose can happen. It's like a whole nother category that's happening, right? So that's a problem. It feeds cancer cells. It's just a toxic thing, can raise blood pressure. So we want to really keep sugar in balance and keep that in check, right? Some of the supplements for your immune system, which will give you good balance, is first and foremost, eat a good diet, eat a good balanced diet. Then you could take a multivitamin to kind of help with the baseline, right? B complex is amazing for stress. It's also really important for to help protein synthesis. We need the B vitamins. D3, again, is important for your immune system. Most people on labs I see are low in vitamin D. There's an optimal range, and then there's a conventional range. The optimal range is 50 to 70 on your lab. And most people are in like 30s, low 30s or lower. I've seen really low numbers. Probiotics are super important, especially to get the good bacteria in there. And then you want to feed it with good fiber, leafy green vegetables, some root vegetables, sweet potatoes, things like that are really helpful. Fiber is important. Omega-3s are great for inflammation. Omega-3s are really important even for brain health, right? But I always look at them like that anti-inflammatory jewel, right? So omega-3 is important. We get a lot of like 6 and 9 in our diet. So we really want to look at omega-3. You can get that in salmon, walnuts, right? You can still get omegas in your diet, but I actually take omega-3s as well. I take all of these actually, and then some. But it is good to get a customized protocol on that, because you really want to make sure you know what you're doing, why you're taking it, do you need it, would you have any effects from it, medications, how they interplay, things like that. So it's really important not to self-medicate on supplements as well. And so I would love to talk to you. Schedule a free consult. If you go to my website, you'll see some buttons in there to schedule a free consultation. And that's where we can just talk about how I can help you, and kind of what path looks good for you, what makes sense for you, because it's really important to make a lifestyle change and what you're willing to commit to. So check it out. Again, it's a pleasure chatting with you.